Oh yeah, is it Thursday already? Wow, the Acolyte is over. And talk about sticking the landing. Talk about going out with a bang. That finale was incredible, but we're going to talk about all of it. We're going to review the entire Acolyte show, whether the show overall is a good or a bad show, and we're going to talk about whether or not this show should get a second season. So let's dive into all of it. We got a lot to get into with not a lot of time. So let's start it off. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? What's up, chat? It is the first Thursday, or the first stream, I should say, after the Acolyte has ended, and I must say, I'm feeling pretty damn good. It seems as though the narrative around this Acolyte show has completely flipped. When before it even started, it was clearly getting bombarded by horrible hate messages and all this crazy stuff, review bombing and just insane stuff online. And now we've sort of turned the corner. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of that, and I'm sure we'll see some today. But for the most part, if we're being completely honest, this Acolyte show was good. And that's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's the greatest show of all time. I'm not saying it's better than Mando. I don't even think it's better than Ahsoka or maybe even Andor. But it is a good Star Wars show. We're going to talk about how I feel about all of this. And we're going to talk about the finale specifically as well and recap the entire season and talk about a second season. But first, let's start with that finale, okay? Give me your ranking out of 10 for that Episode 8. For the finale of this Acolyte show, rank it out of 10. And while you do, I'm just going to say hi to everybody in the chat, or at least I'm going to try to. Let's do that first. Fearless, what's up? Brandon Baker, how we doing? Shadow King in the house. Zoe, what is up? Vincent, how we doing? This is the way. West, what is up? Mr. Word, how we doing? Erica, what's up? Adam, what is up? Jack Robbins in the house. Rich, what's up? John Groom, how we doing? Zap, what is up? Ron, what's up? Lord Raccoon, how we doing? Ben, what's up? Harrison, how we doing? Robert, Ryan, Trent, UV Clips, Matt, B-Man, Starship 66, Mando United, Jay, Chris. Oh my God, there's so many of you in there in the chat right now. And we know, okay, I think I hit everybody. If I missed you, just yell at me in the chat. You know the deal. Mr. Revenge, what's up? Okay. Mando United says, this is my favorite time of the week. It is my favorite time of the week too. Streams are the best. Let's be honest. Streams are the best. Okay. All right, let's see where you guys are ranking this finale. Episode 8 out of 10. I see an 8.2, 8.5, 0 out of 10, 5, 10, 7.5, 9.7, 8, 1, 7, 6, 8.75. Okay. 10 out of 10, 10, 9.6, 9.4, 9.5, 8.5, 9.5. These are some very high scores. 10, we do have some very low ones too. 4, 2, 1. 9.5, 9.5, 10. Okay, let's start up a poll. Let's start up a poll, shall we? What did you think of episode 8 of The Acolyte? What did you think of episode 8? Episode 8 of, that's 9, damn it, 8 of The Acolyte, okay? We did this poll during our live watch party, which was absolutely insane, by the way. Thank you to all you guys for being there. We broke every record in our streaming history for total views. Most people at the same time. Super chats. Like, it was absolutely insane, so I cannot thank you guys enough. But we also broke the record for most votes on a poll, and it was this exact poll. So we're going to see how this one differentiates from that. Did you love it? Did you like it? Were you just like, meh, I mean, it's all right? Or did you hate it? Okay, so let's vote on this poll. If I can, hate it. Let's see where it's at, because the majority of you, in that 1,500 of you that voted during the live watch party, did say that you loved the episode. I believe it was 39% was the majority, and that's pretty damn cool, if I do say so myself. So we're going to talk about the finale first, and then we'll talk about the show as a whole, but let's start with the finale. I mean, come on. I've watched it 4 times now since it released on Tuesday, and it never gets old. Darth freaking Plagueis. And here's the thing. I understand that every new Star Wars show is supposed to, like, if a normie fan or a new fan to Star Wars was watching this show, and this Acolyte show was their first introduction into the Star Wars galaxy, they're going to go, who the hell was that in that cave? And let me show you the picture of him because it's so good. Somebody brightened it, and I used the brightened version, but let's take a look. Let's take a look because this never gets old. Boom. Oh. I mean, come on. Okay, but if you're a newcomer to Star Wars, you're probably going to be like, who the hell is that? And that never really clicked with me until I watched it with one of my friends, and they aren't nearly as big into Star Wars as we are, per se, and they said, Mike, who the hell is that? They were like, who's the creepy guy in the cave? And I was like, that's actually a great question. Because if you don't know, you don't know. Now, of course, probably the majority of us in the chat right now do know that it's Darth Plagueis, but it is Darth Plagueis. But it is pretty interesting. If you are a newcomer to Star Wars, you're probably like, who the hell is that? It's the same thing as if you were watching the original trilogy for the first time and you got introduced to Vader or Palpatine, and you're like, who the hell's that? It was amazing. It was amazing. Let's just frame this, put it in a frame, stick it on the wall. This is awesome. They didn't do too much with the character. Of course, just him peering out from the shadows. But this is the first ever time we see him in live action. Ever. He was mentioned for the first time in Revenge of the Sith back in 2005. But over the last 19 years, we've got Legends novels, Legends stories, but never anything in canon. Nothing in canon from Plagueis except for the fact that he was Palpatine's master. And here he is in the flesh, and he looks pretty damn good. Now, obviously, we can't see his whole entire body. We can't see his whole entire face even, but he's got the nice Sith eyes, and you could tell clearly he's a Mun with a big, long-ass head. We didn't get Grand Inquisitor again, so to say. And it just looks awesome. Okay, but let's talk about the rest of this finale, because there's a lot more to this show than just Darth Plagueis showing up. Shall we? So first of all, let's talk about the Soul versus Qimir fight. This fight right here. Honestly, I thought this might have been the best fight of the entire series. Now, the fights in episode 5 combined are probably better. I think episode 5 is a freaking masterpiece. But those are multiple different battles stretched out throughout the entire episode. This one fight between Soul and Qimir here in this finale was like, chef's kiss. So good. Soul going from turning on his lightsaber, off the lightsaber, using the Force. Like, it was just incredible. Soul dies. Okay? Soul dies in the finale. A lot of us predicted that this was going to happen. Master Soul dying in the finale. We kind of assumed that this was coming. However, the way that he dies. Let me back up. This show starts with May murdering people. She's murdering Jedi, and it's this whole mystery, blah-blah-blue. The Jedi, they don't know who's murdering people. Blah, blah, blah. It looks like Osha. Osha's a good guy to start this show off. She's the good version of the twin. She wants to become a Jedi all the way back 16 years ago on Brendok. She wants to join the Jedi Order, which she eventually does. And after 6 short years being a Padawan to Master Soul, she leaves the Jedi Order. 10 years later, this whole Acolyte show takes place, and she falls to the dark side. Very late in the season, by the way, probably episode 5 is when she gets taken by Qimir. So episode 6, 7, 8, she's falling to the dark side. And it all comes to this one moment where she chokes to death with Force choke Master Soul. Insane. Absolutely insane. And it leads us to see one of the coolest new things. Or not really new, but coolest things that we've never seen before in live action in Star Wars, and that is bleeding a kyber crystal with just the anger and hate of Osha's character. We've seen kyber crystals be bled in Star Wars in comics. In the Vader comics, we actually see Darth Vader bleed his... we see Kylo Ren bleed his kyber crystal. I believe we see Vader do it as well, but we see Kylo Ren in the Ren comics as well. Bleed their kyber crystal. So there's no red lightsabers. Obviously there are, but they aren't originally red. A Sith has to kill a Jedi or happen upon a red lightsaber, or a lightsaber in general, take out the kyber crystal and use their hate and anger to corrupt the crystal and bleed it to a red color. Now, Osha does this unknowingly when she's killing Soul. All that hate and all that anger is bleeding into the kyber crystal that is poking out the side because his hilt is broken, and she's bleeding that kyber crystal without knowing it. This was one of the coolest things of the entire episode when she ignites the blue lightsaber. It's fully blue, and then it slowly goes to red. And that's literally Osha's slow over time, over the course of this season, falling to the dark side. And that's it. And even as soon as she kills Soul, it's kind of a sort of, what have I done? Like Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith. Very, very cool. It's just genius. This is so genius. Round of applause to all the people who worked on this show. That was a genius move, not only to kill Soul, but the way they did it, and with the Kyber amazing. But we must talk about the ending. The possible setting up for a second season, but also the revelation that Qimir truly is the former Padawan to Vernestra Rwoh. This was pretty damn cool. All the theories were kind of proven true, with the scar on his back that looked like it was from a whip, the light whip that was introduced in episode 6, I believe, with Vernestra Rwoh having a laser whip, like no other Jedi really has ever had that. And it was confirmed. When Qimir has his mask off and she arrives on Brendok, she's searching through the Force and she says, you're alive. And then later on, at the end of the episode, she reveals to May and to us, the audience, that Qimir was once a pupil of hers before he turned evil. So it's not only setting up a second season, because now May and Vernestra are going to try to find Osha and Qimir, but it also gives us this awesome, cool backstory to the character of Qimir. The Acolyte, which we'll get into the entire show after we get through this finale breakdown, but the Acolyte introduced one of the coolest characters to ever exist in Star Wars. I was thinking about this yesterday a lot, about my favorite Star Wars characters. Anakin's still at the top of my list. Ahsoka's probably number 2. Darth Maul's probably number 3. Palpatine's probably up in the top 5. Ezra Bridger's a fan favorite of mine. Luke Skywalker's a great. Obi-Wan Kenobi, of course. Yoda's great. Kanan Jarrus is great. Han Solo. I like, after that, you got to start to throw Qimir into the conversation. This character is so Max Rebo, of course. That character is so damn intriguing and cool and badass. Absolutely badass. Not just the performance of Manny Jacinto, who of course was fan-frickin-tastic in episode 5 and in episode 6 and in this finale, but just the design. The mask of Cortosis was awesome. The lightsabers that split into 2, like Ahsoka Tano's lightsabers, was so damn cool. And he was so powerful, killing 8 Jedi on Kofar. Actually, 8 Jedi? Yeah, killing 8 Jedi on Kofar and going toe-to-toe with Master Soul like it's nothing. Wow. Talk about wow. And we were right. We were absolutely right. My prediction video that we came up with together on the live stream on Saturday, that I came up with on Sunday about Vernestra framing everything on Master Soul was right. We did it. And it was wild. Soul, throughout the entire show, you feel bad for him. Li Jiang-Cha does an incredible job. You feel bad for the guy. He's like a Qui-Gon Jinn-esque Jedi who's made a wrong choice. And now he's died because of that choice, and they framed the whole damn thing on him. Not only is that really great storytelling, it also takes away the retcon. The Sith haven't returned, or at least according to the Jedi, the Sith haven't returned in any sort of way. And that was a very genius way to go about it, by killing Soul off and then blaming everything on him to keep the Jedi not knowing about the Sith. And it's because Vernestra's former Padawan is the Sith Lord, which is just straight genius. But, yeah, talk about that ending. And then, of course, it ends, like actually ends, with the final scene of Master Yoda. Now, I know you guys were like, Mike, Yoda can't be in the show. Leslie Headland said he can't be in the show. Leslie Headland said it! She said it! She lied. I mean, actors, directors, producers, they're gonna lie all the time to avoid spoilers, to avoid revealing all the greatness that comes with these shows. What did you want when Leslie Headland was asked the question, is Yoda gonna be in the show? Her say yes? Like, that's just dumb. So, obviously she lied, and here is Master frickin' Yoda. We only got the back of his head, which was cool. We only got the back of his head. Less is more with a character like Yoda, so I liked that they did that. But the significance behind this scene is way more important than people are even talking about. Like, people are like, oh, cool, Yoda. No, that's not at all why this scene was thrown in there. It wasn't just to show us Master Yoda, although it was cool. Vernestra comes in the room and says, sorry, Master, to disturb you, but I have to tell you something. She's going to tell him that her former Padawan, because I'm sure Yoda knows who he is too, is now a red lightsaber-wielding Sith Lord, or at least could be a Sith Lord. Rogue Jedi, at least. And now Yoda's going to know. And that makes two people know all these lies and deceit that the Jedi are doing. The lies and deceit of the Jedi. It's supposed to be the lies and deceit of the Sith. And yet now Yoda and Vernestra both know about this lie, which is absolutely wild. Crazy way to end it. And I know a lot of people were focused on the Yoda of it all, but it was more important than just that. Okay, holy crap. D-Ray? If I mispronounced that, I apologize. D-Ray? Sure. With a very generous $20 holla. Oh my God. And by the way, guys, of course, I really appreciate all the super chats from the watch party. That was insane. And I appreciate super chats all the time, but it was insane on the watch party, so I just had to say it again. Okay. They say, the problem is the writing in story arcs. I'm glad you and others liked it, but it lost almost 70% of the viewers. Unless they address concerns, there will be no second season. Grace Randolph and Angry Joe have admitted huge issues. Who's Angry Joe and Grace? Grace Randolph, like the reporter person who reports on like Marvel and Star Wars and stuff? I have no idea who Angry Joe is, but I know this, and I actually really appreciate the super chat, not only because it's a super chat, but I appreciate how civilized it is. I know there's going to be a lot of controversy in the chat today with people liking the show, not liking the show, whatever. I just ask to keep it civil. You're glad I like it, you're glad others like it, but almost 70% of the viewers were lost. That is true, but that is true with almost every show. Now, it's not 70%. 70% is a lot, but usually week 1 to week 2 and week 2 to week 3, the majority of the viewers have left. And this is the case with The Mandalorian, with the Kenobi show, with Ahsoka, with all of them. And I absolutely agree with you. The problem with this Acolyte show is not the show itself. Again, this is my personal opinion. I thought the story itself, with the twins and the whole Force Virgins was the word I'm looking for. The Force Virgins, Brendok, witches, Sith, Plagueis, Qimir, all that stuff was great. It's the conversation around the show, the Leslie Headland of it all, the interviews where the actors are saying this crazy stuff, and just fans not wanting that. And it's completely deservingly so. You don't want that conversation when it comes to Star Wars. But to me, I just think the story is the story, and it's fantastic. It's all the other stuff outside of it. That's the big problem. Yeah, I appreciate it. I really, really do. I really, really do. Okay. Where was I? Wes says, Plagueis learned from the witches, right? Okay, we can talk about that. Let's talk about that. So Darth Plagueis in Legends creates Anakin Skywalker. Kind of. Him and Palpatine try to manipulate the midichlorians to create this all-powerful dark side being, and in response to that, the Force creates Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one. Eventually, Anakin falls to the dark side, so that's kind of a different story, but that's what happens in the Plagueis novel. But the Plagueis novel is Legends for now. Again, it could be created into canon, or at least aspects of it could be created into canon, but for now, it remains Legends. What West is bringing up, and it's a great point, is this show could be leading to that, leading to Plagueis being able to manipulate the Force to create life. Because as Soul explained in this 8th episode, that is an extremely difficult power to have, and only very few in the history of the galaxy, he says the history of the galaxy, have ever been that powerful. And one of those people just happens to be Mother Anisea, or at least the combination of Mother Anisea, Mother Coral, and all the other witches on Brendok. Witches in Star Wars seem to be extremely powerful. like almost all the time. Now, not every witch is really powerful. The witches of Dathomir are pretty powerful, but Mother Talzin of Dathomir is insanely powerful. Like, she is probably on the same level as a Mother Anisea, and it's crazy. I would say probably the same thing with the Great Mothers from the Ahsoka show. So witches are really powerful usually in Star Wars. Where was I going with this? Oh, yes, the Plagueis connection to all this. So Osha just found out, in May too, and Qimir as well, just found out that Mother Anisea, because Sol told them, created life from nothing. Now, it was with the help of the Virgin Son Brendok, it was the help of the Force and the witch's magic, and all that coming together created these girls. Now, Qimir knows that, Osha knows that, and Chimir's master just happens to be Darth Plagueis. So it's likely that the two of them will be teaching or telling Plagueis about this ability, and Plagueis being obsessed with creating, or not creating life, but living forever, I should say. That obsession is probably going to lead to him doing what he does in the Plagueis novel, which is right now Legends. I wonder if they will just bring it into canon, because there's some really cool stuff in that novel. There's some aspects of it that now you can't bring into canon because of how the Acolyte ended. But Plagueis being alive during the events of this Acolyte show is actually kind of already a different story than that Plagueis novel, because Plagueis was a certain age in Legends, and he's not that in canon now. Thomas brings up a pretty good point, too. Qimir is venomous. If Qimir is venomous, and we're going based off of Legends, then that would mean Tenebris is still alive. And I don't think he is. I think Tenebris is gone. Plagueis is the current master. And we'll probably see how the whole Qimir situation dies down. And, of course, we know eventually his next apprentice will become Palpatine. Yeah. All right, I asked this before I started the stream, but I'm going to ask it again to all the people in the chat now. Who was your favorite character throughout this entire Acolyte show? If you could only pick one, who was your favorite? For me, it's Qimir, but I must say it's close. Master Sol was great, and he was my favorite character for probably the first 4 episodes. And then episode 5 came around, and I was like, okay, Qimir. But then, something kind of crazy happened. Episode 6 and episode 8, the finale, really made me love the character of Osha quite a bit. Osha became a very, very, very intriguing and cool character. She goes the same route as a Dooku or an Anakin, even of a once a Jedi to falling to the dark side. Hers is a little bit different though, because she takes 10 years off from being a Jedi, and then she falls to the dark side. And it all comes because of the wrong mistake that Sol made of killing her mom and all the other witches that were there. And now she sees the Jedi as the bad guys, and it consumes her with hate and all that. But she became quite a cool character by the end of this show. And honestly, I thought going into the show, I was going to love May a lot more than Osha. It was completely reversed. May started off as the really cool, badass character. And by the end of the show, obviously her mind gets wiped. But by the end of the show, I wasn't really feeling the May character. It was way more Osha for me. But who's your favorite character of the entire Acolyte show? I see a bunch of Chimers in the chat. I see some Oshas. Vernestra? Vernestra was cool. I mean, she didn't really have that much screen time. Yeah. Favorite character is Sol. Too bad they took a dump on him. I don't know about that. They didn't kill him, though. Sol's character arc was so good. Like, he goes from this Qui-Gon-esque Jedi who's a very emotional Jedi. And like sort of Senator Rayencourt explains in this finale, the Jedi claim to be in control of their emotions when they aren't. And we see Sol tap into those emotions quite a bit in this show. When he's fighting in episode 5, when he's crying in episode 6, like he's really an emotional Jedi. And those emotions are what get him in trouble. He feels a very strong connection to Osha immediately 16 years ago in Brendok, and that's what kind of puts him down that path. He eventually kills Mother Anisea, and we know how the rest goes. He's a very intriguing character, a very emotional Jedi, And that's what leads him to die, pretty much. That was pretty cool. Basil. Okay, let's talk about Basil for a second. Basil's like Basil's like the R2-D2 of this show. He doesn't speak English. He goes around. He's just messing around. He's always around. He's fighting the air. He's pulling wires. He's saving the day. He's cool, but it's kind of like, what's going on? JJ's acting was top tier, though. Soul would be my second favorite. Yeah. Can we talk about the acting in this show for a second? Not only Li Zhangcha, who they nicknamed JJ, so it's a lot easier to say. Not only JJ as Master Soul, but Manny Jacinto as Qimir. How about Amandla Steinberg playing both Osha and May? And never once was I confused between who I'm looking at on the screen right now. You could just visually tell the difference. And not because there were visual differences with the longer hair, because in episode 5, she cuts her hair. So for the second half of the season, they look exactly the same. And never once was I like, oh, that's Osha. Oh, or no, that's May. I was never confused once. It was an incredible performance. But the acting in this show is just top tier. Yeah. My headcanon is that Basil has a wife and 24 kids. Okay. Yeah. Sure, why not? UV Clip says, guys, as Mike said, be calm and respectful in the chat. The Acolyte has been may have been pretty bad, but chill the F out. Again, that's one's opinion. Robert says, this show has terrible writing, no character arcs, and just stupid decisions they make, and the acting was really bad. Okay. But I'm glad you liked it. Most people did not. I'd actually severely disagree with that last statement that most people did not. But let me go back to the beginning of that. Terrible writing. What does that mean? Can somebody explain to me in the chat the terrible writing that happened in this show? I'm not saying it wasn't. Maybe it was. But can somebody explain to me what the terrible writing was in this show? Throughout the course of 7 weeks of releases of this show, because the first episode was a double premiere, all I heard was, this is bad writing, bad writing, bad writing. What was bad about it? This finale, I think personally, was the perfect example of how this show was not just good writing, yet great writing. From individual characters, like I just explained, Master Soul's arc that he went on, but all of the characters, and all of the characters' combined arcs. You start on Breadnock 16 years ago with Osha, May as kids, and they go off on their own sort of adventures. One becomes a Sith, one becomes a Jedi, and they go there. They all meet back. It all comes circling back around where they're all connected back on Breadnock in the end. And they're all in completely different places now. Osha's goes on from an arc from being a Jedi all the way to being a Sith, but there's a lot in between there. May goes on a pretty opposite arc. Soul goes on that crazy arc we just explained. You got Vernestra Rwoh, who's an incredible character as well, and now her connection to Qimir, who is the main villain of the show, who's one of the most badass villains of all time. And now she's just his former master? Plot holes. Okay. What's a plot hole? What were the plot holes in this show? Maybe there are. So I'm literally asking because I want to know. I'm not crapping on you guys or anything. I'm asking because what were the plot holes in this show? I might have missed them. I might have actually missed them. Yeah. Zoe says, I agree with you. It was great writing. Just because you don't like the story doesn't mean the writing isn't strategic and effective. Yeah, I think that's sort of the disconnect there. Absolutely. I think a lot of people just didn't like the show and they claim bad writing. Yeah. Qimir looked worried when he sensed Vernestra. Oh, yeah, he looked like he just shit his pants. Clearly, he's been in hiding from his master for who knows how long. And Vernestra thought he was dead because her first instinct is, you're alive? So however their falling out went, probably similar to an Anakin and Obi-Wan, because Anakin burns in the lava pits of Mustafar, and Obi-Wan believes that Anakin is dead. He believes that he's going to die there. And then years later, when he meets Vader and realizes that it's Anakin, he's like, holy crap, you're alive? So I think it's something very similar to that. maybe Vernestra left Qimir to die somewhere and thought he did die. Who knows how long ago. But he's still alive. But he did look very scared. And that's why he wears the helmet of Cortosis, so that she couldn't sense him. They emphasized, now they set up a lot of stuff for a second season, and we'll talk about a second season in a second, but they emphasized a lot about Vernestra and her traveling through hyperspace. Did you catch that? In episode 5, episode 6, episode 8, all they talked about when Vernestra went to hyperspace to go to Kofar and to go to Brendok and to go back to Coruscant, everybody who talked to her was like, oh, you went through hyperspace? I thought it hurt your stomach or your head or your toes or your eyeballs. Like, they emphasized that a shit ton. And I think for a reason, but that might not be sort of explored until season 2. Yeah. We don't, this is a good point. We don't know what Yoda sensed, as he wasn't really a part of the story. Yeah, I mean, Yoda could have probably, let's be honest, how many Jedi die in this show? There's 9 on Kofar, if you include Kelnaka. Indara dies and Torben dies, that's 11. Sol dies, that's 12. So you got at least 12 Jedi dying in this show. You don't think that the at least Yoda would sense some of this loss? At least some of it. I think you're definitely probably onto something. Yoda probably has some knowledge as to what's going on here. Or at least he wants to know what's going on because he probably senses a disturbance in the Force as well. Yeah. Torben suicides for no reason? What? Did you miss the entire episode 3 and 7? No reason? The whole reason of the show. Yoda doesn't... Well, wait, that went away. The show is crap. Again, Adam, that's your opinion. I don't think Yoda would have sensed it. He didn't know Ahsoka was innocent. That's a little bit different. How would, like, Yoda sensing the death of a Jedi, somebody becoming one with the Force. Think about Tales of the Jedi. When Count Dooku's standing by the tree on Coruscant, he feels that Qui-Gon has died. And he feels that his essence has gone on to the afterlife. I think that's a little bit different than sensing that Ahsoka was innocent or not for a bombing of the Jedi Temple. That's a little bit different. I get what you're saying, but it is a little bit different. Yeah. Yeah. Torben just wanted to go home. Yeah, in the flashbacks, his goal was to get back to Coruscant at any cost. That's for sure. But the reason he kills himself in episode 2 is because of what they did to those witches in episode 7. And that's clearly explained. Yeah. Yoda doesn't know everything. I mean, he literally misses the rise of the Sith. That is also true. Yoda can sense stuff in the Force, but it's always clouded. And not always clouded, but you know what I mean. It's not like he knows specifically what happened, when happened, where happened. You're right. The Jedi allow literally Palpatine, the Sith Lord, to rise to power in the Senate right in front of them, and they miss it. Yeah. That's true. Zoe says, it was a great TV Star Wars show, for sure, in my opinion. There you go. Those could not have been two complete opposite things. But that's what's cool about Star Wars, to me. I think it's really cool that you have all these different stories from a span of somewhere 200 some odd years, and it's going to just keep growing when we get the Dawn of the Jedi movie. But you have this massive universe, this galaxy far, far away with a bunch of different stories that different people like and don't like. Think about Andor. When Andor came out, Andor was like the most divisive thing at the time. People were screaming bricks and screws at the screen. People were screaming, this show's not Star Wars. People were screaming, where are the lightsabers? Where's the Force? And then other people were screaming, this is the best Star Wars show ever. Best writing ever, best character arcs ever, best this, that, the other thing. It's just the same thing over and over again. And that's what's great about Star Wars. Honestly, I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as a great thing. People love the original trilogy. People love the prequel trilogy. People hate the prequel trilogy. People love the sequel trilogy. People hate the sequel trilogy. It's all an opinion-based thing, but in this galaxy-wide massive story that we have, you can pick and choose what you want to watch. There's a place called Disney Plus where you can go click and go watch whatever show you want in the Star Wars universe that you either like or dislike. And if you want to watch stuff that you dislike, that's completely up to you. But you can watch what you like. I rewatch certain shows more than I rewatch other shows. I've rewatched The Mandalorian a bajillion times. The Clone Wars, Rebels, a bajillion times. I've probably rewatched Andor or Kenobi probably like twice. And yes, I do enjoy those shows quite a bit. It's just I enjoy the other ones more, you know? That's kind of what that's just how I kind of see it. And you can see it differently, but you know, people protested the special editions. Oh yeah, they did. The special editions that were released of the original trilogy got like boycotted for a long time. People still to this day hate it. Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi will be debated till the end of time that they changed it for Sebastian Shaw. Or they changed Sebastian Shaw for Hayden Christensen. But all the other differences that they made too. Han shot first. Remember that? Han shot first? Crazy. Oh, we got a new member. Thomas! Welcome to the people who love Star Wars! Welcome to the people who love Star Wars, Thomas. I appreciate that quite a bit. Becoming a member is the best way to support this channel, as are super chats and as are just watching the streams and videos. But if you are a member, you get instant access to giveaways and other cool stuff. But the giveaways happen at the end of every month. So we're coming up to the end of this month, July. We're about halfway, a little more than halfway. So sometime soon, there will be a giveaway. Okay. Where was I? I appreciate it, Thomas. Matt says, this show should get a second season, but we might not get it because of the hate that people had. Okay, let's talk about that. Should this show get a second season? I'm actually going to pull this up. I'm going to end the other poll that has over 200 votes currently. I want to pull this up because I want to see where you guys are at with this. Let's see where the last poll ended to. The last poll ended with 40% of you loved that episode, 23% of you liked it, 20% hated it, and 14% said meh. So by far, over almost 20% of you loved it, 23% of you liked it. So 63-ish% of you liked or loved the finale, which is fan-freaking-tastic. But let's talk about a season 2. Do you want a season 2 of The Acolyte? Yes or no? Yes or no? Why can't I start this poll? I don't want a third option. Go away. Oh, there we go. Do you want a season 2 of this Acolyte show? And put why or why not in the chat. Obviously, they set up a second season. They said they had Osha tell May that she was going to find her, and she was like, "I know you will." They had Vernestra say that she needs May's help to find Qimir. They set up Qimir. They set up Plagueis. They set up Vernestra going to tell Yoda what happened. They set up a second season. They definitely did. Now, the big problem with the second season is Soul's dead. Jekkie's dead. Yord's dead. Your main sort of cast is gone. Now, there still are many of them. Qimir, Vernestra. Vernestra wasn't really a main character, I'd say, this season. She was in the back half, but definitely not in the first half. She still got May and Osha, which I guess are the core of the show. But what do you guys think? Should there be a second season of this show? And wow, this did not go the way that I thought. 82% of you right now, 81% of you guys right now say yes, there should be a second season. Now, the big question becomes, will there be a second season? As the majority of you, by far, clearly want a second season, and I do too, will there be one? The conversation online has been so divisive that they might not do it. They might not do it. Think about the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy got so much crap that they stopped making Star Wars movies. They stopped. For 7 years now, or I guess 5 years now, but by the time the first movie comes out, it'll be 7 years since we had the last Star Wars movie. So are they going to listen to the haters? Are they going to listen to the people who screaming and yelling about this show and not make a second season, as they clearly set one up? What do we think? Tell me in the chat. I want one. I definitely want one. The amount of fun I had over the last 7 weeks, speculating week to week about each episode of this show, having fun with you guys, watching the channel just grow and get insane, fun streams like this, just talking, having fun about this show. I want 8 more weeks of that. Absolutely. It was fan-freaking-tastic. It was so good. Oh, and let's just kind of sidebar. We just hit 63,000 subscribers right before this stream started, so I appreciate all of you guys for that, hitting that subscribe. It supports the channel so much. I appreciate it all way more than you ever would. 63,000 is a big, big milestone, so I appreciate it. Okay. Where was I? I got to scroll all the way back up here. Ow, my foot hurts. Okay. Where was I? Okay, we'll start here. Harrison says, a lot has changed in 87 years. Look at the real world. Wasn't that long ago that not everyone was allowed to vote? I'm confused. What are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about the 87-ish years between this Acolyte show and the prequel trilogy. Oh, I get you. Yeah, a lot changes in that time. That's for damn sure. Yeah. That's for damn sure. The Real Zeal says, how does the Green Jedi, Vernestra, cover up the murders and blame Sol? A whole bar of people saw how the Jedi Trinity, Indara, this is a riddle, get murdered by May. Okay, so how does the Green Jedi, Vernestra, cover up the murders and blame Sol? A whole bar of people, you're talking about the Noodle bar in episode 1, saw Indara get killed by May. That's the cover-up. That was the cover-up. The two twins are the result of what Sol did. And Vernestra explains that to the Senate at the end of that episode. Robert says, at this point, the emphasis of... That is the point of emphasis, is what he said. It's a thing from the High Republic novels with that character. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I didn't even know that. Vernestra's character doesn't like to travel through hyperspace, or like early on in the books. What are you talking about? I didn't even think about that. Order 66 is coming soon. 66,000 subscribers. That'll be a cool one. That'll be fun. Stam says, sorry, Mike. Good writing means being original and not stealing from other shows/films and not knowing who blew up the Death Star. Stam, how does an actor who plays Yord, not knowing who blew up the Death Star, have anything to do with the writing of the show? You know? Like, I feel like you're piecing two completely different things together just to make a point. Thomas says, David Harewood as the senator is definitely working for Plagueis. I did hear this theory, Thomas, and I kind of like it quite a bit. Because Plagueis has been known, in Legends at least, to work with politicians all the time. He works with the banking clan in the Plagueis novel quite a bit. And of course, Palpatine becomes a senator. So I wouldn't be surprised if Plagueis does have some sort of pull on certain senators in the Senate. And Raincourt was his name. Him being very sort of against the Jedi could indicate that he might be working for him. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I like that theory quite a bit. I do. I really, really do. Oh, Trek Anderson. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars, Trek. I appreciate that quite a bit. Where was I? Damn it, Trek! You made me lose my spot in the chat. Are you kidding me? No, I'm kidding. Okay. Chris says, yes, the High Republic books said that she saw visions, which were very unsettling to her when she traveled through hyperspace. Okay. Again, I didn't know that. I like it. I like that detail. Wookiee dying off screen was lame. It would have been way cooler to see the two duel, or even a sneaky assassination. Yeah, that was never answered, and I wonder if they do get a second season, if they will answer that. I don't know, because what I was saying when episode 5 happened was Kelnaka didn't look like he was really fighting back. He's sitting in his chair when he's dead. So maybe Kelnaka knew Qimir? You can make the assumption, because Qimir has explained that he already found Kelnaka, that maybe he had a conversation with him before and knew who he was. That's definitely possible. Yeah. Thanks for not being a donkey YouTuber. Do people YouTube about donkeys? I'm confused. About this show that has to hate this show for breaking lore. Well, here's my other point. This show didn't break lore. Any at all, actually. And we gone through 8 weeks of this, where people were like, this show's breaking canon. This show's breaking canon. This show's breaking canon. Where? The big one was the Jedi know about the Sith 100 years before they're supposed to. But we went through 8 episodes, and the Jedi don't know about the Sith. What? Somebody please try to explain that to me, because I don't get it. Cloud Master says, Yoda doesn't sense the death of every single individual Jedi at all times. That's true, but 12 of them? That's quite a bit. And they all sort of died in the same spot on Kofar. I feel like he would maybe sense that. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's so many Jedi in the galaxy that he can't sense every individual one. Dooku, my example of Dooku in Tales of the Jedi, he has a connection to Qui-Gon because Qui-Gon was his Padawan. So that could make sense. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right there. Yeah. Zoe says, Basil, a.k.a. rodent-like character, yes, Basil was trying to prevent Sol from shooting down May's ship. Yeah, but why? You know? Why? Adam, great point. Ki-Adi-Mundi Jedi, knowing about the Sith 1,000 years of peace. Yoda not knowing Plagueis being there, he would be like 15, maybe not even alive. So everything you just said, Ki-Adi-Mundi being alive and not being just born or not even being born yet was Legends. Plagueis being 15 was Legends. And Yoda knowing about Plagueis or Yoda knowing about the Sith, he doesn't. You know? What are we talking about here? Explore the Force says, Vernestra has Force visions when she goes through hyperspace. Okay. I guess I must have missed it. I just didn't read that High Republic stuff. I read some of it, I'll give you that, but not that. Paul Simon says, I have to admit, it's better watched as a binge than the way they delivered it. You move to episode 7 after episode 3, so we go episode 1, 2, 3, 7, 4, 5, 6, 8. Great binge watch and good show. Wait, great binge watch, good show. Okay. I agree that it'll probably be a good binge if I decide to binge it at some time. But I like the weekly releases, and I still stick to that. I like being able to speculate week to week. Like, there's a bunch of episodes that end on cliffhangers to sort of make you speculate and have these theories. And I guess that's just because the position I'm in, where I literally I do this. I stream and I talk about this and make videos about it. So that's a little bit different. I would understand why people would like to binge it better. And if you move episode 7 right after episode 3, it would be pretty cool because you'd be getting both sort of perspectives back to back. That's true. That's true. I doubt it unless he has a strong connection with that Jedi. That's true. Would Yoda have any strong connections to any of the Jedi that died in this season? I don't know. Maybe one of them... Like, Yoda trains with so many Jedi that we don't know. You know? The Real Zeal says, how do all the witches die? Because their hypotism, sure, was broken. Yeah, I believe Leslie Headland explained this, but I'm not too sure, that Indara kills them. She is met with this thing that she doesn't know what it is inside of Kelnaka's head, and she snaps it. And when she snaps that, all these witches who are controlling Kelnaka, swaying back and forth, they all die. Yeah. But the big question is Mother Coral. So with another second season, you'll get answers to what happened to Mother Coral, because she didn't die. She turns into dust and it disappears. So hopefully we'll get answers to that. Vernestra losing her apprentice to the Vernestra loses her apprentice to the Nihil in the High Republic books in a hyperspace disaster. Chimir's real name is Let's look this up because I've heard this before. How do you pronounce that? Imir or Irie? Imri maybe? Imri Canteros from the High Republic. Because this is Imri Canteros from the High Republic books, who is indeed Vernestra Row's apprentice. This guy right here. But he looks nothing, and I mean nothing, like Qimir. Like the facial features, the hair, the nothing. So unless they drastically change this character, his appearance at least, I mean, again, that doesn't look like Qimir. I do love the theory, and maybe it's right. And you're saying that she loses this Padawan in a hyperspace disaster? Wait, let me go back to what you said. He said Vernestra loses her apprentice to the Nihil in the books in the hyperspace disaster. Okay. So she loses this apprentice in the hyperspace disaster. See, now this looks more like Qimir because of the dark hair. Like, this looks like a character that looks nothing like Qimir. Oh, wait, this one? It kind of looks more like it. Maybe it's just the animation here or the comic book drawing of it. Maybe. This does kind of make me want to read the High Republic novels. Is that Huge Wang? Is that Hu Yang behind them? Right there? Is that a Huge Wang? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I still can't get over thinking that Raincourt is Tenebris. I don't think so. I did like the character of Raincourt, though, for sure. Raincourt was really cool. He literally tells the Jedi, or tells Vernestra, how the Jedi are going to fall, or at least why he doesn't like the Jedi, and he's literally telling us the future. He's saying that the Jedi are an unchecked power in the galaxy, that they're just hiding as a religion, when they're really extremely powerful, and now they have control over the entire galaxy. What if they want to just do bad things? Then nobody's going to be able to stop them. And that's what happens. Anakin falls to the dark side, kills all the other Jedi, and then the Empire happens. So he was right. Raincourt was right. But what's the way around that? How do you stop that? You know? Samson Earman Samson says race and gender have everything to do with the hate that's being spewed by many. People can ignore this fact, but it is a fact. Race and gender, you're saying, have everything to do with the hate being spewed by many. I would hate to say that you're right, but yeah. I think it definitely has something to do with it. I don't think it's 100% the problem, but it does have something to do with it. You know? Many people who just like the lightsabers are mostly episode 1 through 3 watchers. To forget how these movies were hated, George Lucas says that when you watch episode 1 to 3, you grow up and you like it. I think you lost me on that, but episode 1 to 3 are great. Yoda smokes way too much weed to sense it all. Oh, does he? Too many death sticks for Yoda? Yeah, no. Your Force stamina must be crazy to sense everything. I guess you guys are right. It's impossible for Yoda to do everything. You know? Impossible to sense everything. Skeleton Crew? What about Skeleton Crew? Skeleton Crew is the next show, and I can't wait, but I guess we're going to have to. People are saying Adam needs to chill. Adam, chill. I don't know what Adam's doing, but chill. Adam, chill. Another Adam says, that's another thing. No Jedi would commit suicide. Why not? Why not? Paul Simon says, the Force doesn't work that way, Han Solo. What way? Star Wars is mostly for kids, even when most of them forget it. Yes and no. Again, this is a conversation that could be had for the rest of time, debated for the rest of time. Star Wars is, by definition, by George Lucas and Dave Filoni, created for kids. And by kids, I mean like teenagers, 12, 13, 14 years old. But here we are. I'm not a kid. You're not a kid, probably, unless you are, but most of us are probably not kids. And we've just fallen in love with this thing that we call Star Wars. And it's just fun. It's an escape from our everyday stressful lives, so to speak. And that's why we love Star Wars. And the problem with that is, when you are a kid and you grow attachment to something as special as Star Wars, you really want to defend that thing. And anything that differentiates from it, anything that's different at all, you're not going to like in the slightest. So that seems to be a big problem. And how you get around that, I have no idea. Because the same people who are asking for new things don't like new things. It's a very circle spinning, nonsensical approach, but I don't know how you get around it. Yeah. Aaron says, Leslie Headland wanted to explore a lot of thought-provoking concepts and create mystery throughout the season. I think she was partially successful, though I am not 100% satisfied with the revelations. Yeah, this show does introduce a lot of new, cool stuff to the lore, but it also expands on older things that have already been established, like bleeding a kyber crystal, and doing it in a really cool way. But adding like Force Virgences and all this cool stuff is what you want. That's exactly what we want. That's what we've been asking for. And she did it in a very successful way. And yet, here we are. You know? Dude, the mother was affecting Torben's mind. Yeah, that stuff was really cool. And actually, somebody brought up a point. Will Qimir lose his mind in like 10 years? Because Kelnaka and Torben both kind of secluded themselves and were very sorry for what happened and all this stuff because the witches got into their heads. We see Qimir have a witch in his head, and it's Osha. But it was kind of quick, so maybe not. Maybe not. In The Phantom Menace, Yoda and Windu know about the rule of two, which wouldn't make any sense if they don't know about the Sith. Yeah, that needs to be explained. That definitely needs to be explained. How do they know about the rule of two when the Sith haven't been around for a millennia, and a millennia ago, there was hundreds of thousands of Sith? And that's when the rule of two got put into place, and that's why they don't know about the Sith. You know? I think it does need to be explained at some point. I just don't know how or when. Yeah. Poppy Cotton Adventures. Nice. It says, Torben, a member of the most skilled warriors in the galaxy, conspired to break into the witch's home, armed, and kidnap children. Yeah. You're not wrong. You're absolutely right. The entire Jedi Order raised their younglings to be warriors in the Clone Wars, which became the downfall of their entire order. They raised the Chosen One to kill them all. The Jedi Order is just not good. Like, simple as that. It's really not. And by the last 100 years of it, it's really spiraling out of control. Like, it's just not good at all. At one point, maybe the Jedi Order was right, but it just isn't. Yeah. Billy says, Yoda can't hear/sense nothing unless your hands are on him like a metal detector. That's not really true. I'm going through a rewatch of Clone Wars right now, and in season 2, when Cad Bane breaks into the to the Jedi Temple and steals a holocron, Yoda, the day before it happens, Kit Fisto, what's up? Yoda, before it happens, says somebody's going to break into the Jedi Temple today. He like sees that happening in the future. Now that's a little bit different than sensing everything that happens around the galaxy, because he's sensing the future, but it is still pretty cool. Can we talk about that with the finale too? It opens with Osha with the helmet on. She has like some sort of seizure thing happening where she's seeing the future, and she sees the future, and she thinks it's May holding out her hand, killing Sol with a lightsaber in her hand, but she doesn't do it with a lightsaber, which makes her an acolyte. When it was really her the entire time. So good. You're rewatching Rebels right now? That's awesome. I just rewatched Rebels probably last year, so I'm going to give it a little bit longer. Trek says, I think it's a fair debate if Torben should have healed by then, but I guess he wasn't. Oh, you mean like healed mentally? I think it just took a drastic toll on him. I'm pretty sure he probably took all of those witches' deaths in his own hands and felt extremely bad about it for quite a long time and meditating with his feelings. Yeah. I love Rebels too. Rebels is extremely underrated, Joe. Extremely underrated. Yeah. Indeed. Tony says, I'm going to watch through the Acolyte again, like this. 3, 7, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. I mean, that would kind of make sense too, because 3 and 7 are both the flashbacks. But I think actually getting 1 and 2 before the flashbacks adds a lot, because then you sort of know the established story and where those stories lead. Yeah. Yeah. Yoda has a secretary? What? That's who Vernestra was talking to earlier in the episode, right? So Yoda is clearly fancy during these times. Let's talk about that. So do you guys remember, give me a 1 into the chat if you remember this, in episode 8, this finale that just happened 2 days ago, there was a scene on Coruscant where Vernestra is on the phone with somebody, or not the phone because there's no phones in Star Wars, but talking to somebody before Mog comes in and tells her that that Sol is put back on his beacon and they know where he is. He's outside of Brendok. Do you guys remember that scene? It was very weird because she's talking to someone and the person says like they're not available right now or something, and she's like, tell him it's really urgent. Do you think that was it Robert? Yeah, was Robert correct and this is just Yoda's secretary? Who was she talking to there? Salt says, I remain sus of Vernestra. She is very suspicious, that's for damn sure. She's a very suspicious character, to say the least. Yeah, that's for damn sure. He says it in a very unorthodox way, but he can try to get a meeting. Yeah. The person sounds too much like Palpatine. I thought the same thing, James. I thought the person sounded exactly like Palpatine, and I was like, what's going on here? Yeah. Joe Costa knew. Interesting. The librarian? There's no way she's still alive at this time. She wasn't 100 in the prequel trilogy. Although she looked really old, I wouldn't say she was 100. Yeah. I don't know if it was Yoda's sort of secretary, as we're assuming here. She might have been talking about somebody else, because she was sort of in a panic trying to figure out where Sol is, trying to figure out how this is happening, because she was going to have to go meet with the chancellor and the rest of the senators later on. So who is she calling? Who are you going to call? You know? Ghostbusters? What did you think about Osha's turn to the dark side? Plus, hello there, everyone. Hello there, first of all. Let's,
Hello there.
But what did I think about Osha turning to the dark side? I thought it was done incredibly well. Incredibly well. Episode 6, which a lot of people didn't like, I thought it was amazing because it was sort of the training sequences that we get with Yoda and Luke on Dagobah or Luke and Rey in The Last Jedi. But it was the dark side version of that. It was sort of Qimir corrupting Osha to the dark side slowly but surely, seducing her, literally, to the dark side. And then it sort of just paid off in a big way in the finale because she realizes that she's been lied to her the last 16 years of her life by the Jedi Order, by her master, Soul. And her master just so happened to kill her mom too. So she did go through this crazy twist to the dark side, and it was done extremely well and amazing. Yeah, it was awesome. And now she's a Sith. And honestly, that's pretty damn cool. The show's called The Acolyte. Nobody was guessing that Osha was going to be the Acolyte. Let's be honest. You're probably lying to yourself if you say that you at episode 1 when you met Osha, you were like, she's going to be it. She's going to be the bad guy. Yeah. Wait, what the hell? Area 51 Escape Artist is in the chat. What's up? Are you an alien? Says, I love how this show is more than I love how this show is more tell than show. Okay. The show creates questions and speculation because of how poorly it was written. I could not disagree with you more. A show that is written so well that it creates the speculation is what you want. Speculation is a good thing. When you go week to week on a show that's so boring and so just literally just showing everything that is happening right in front of you and leaving nothing up to your own interpretation and nothing up to your own speculation, that's a bad show. Plain and simple. Qimir was supposed to be a surprise reveal, and most people predicted it after the second episode. That is true to an extent. I mean, a lot of people would still have told you that it was going to be Mother Coral or Master Soul even, or Master Dara. Some of those theories went crazy. Some people thinking it could have been just some insane people. Vernestra Rwoh, Plagueis himself, Tenebris himself. But yeah, most people would probably have told you that it was going to be Qimir, and that wasn't really a big reveal. It was more so a big reveal that he was that powerful, and he is, in fact, a Sith in front of 8 Jedi in the forest and having to kill all of them. Yeah. Can I get some good cups, follow orders in the chat, please? Bum, ba. Still my favorite part of the show. Okay. Well, that thing's really filled with water today. So the stranger is the apprentice of Plagueis? Yes. Indeed. Indeed. Ian says, it's hard to see the dark side is, especially with a Sith shrining downstairs clouding your vision. Oh, a Sith shrine downstairs clouding your vision. Easy for me to say. Yeah, there is that sort of Sith temple or whatever you want to call it underneath the Jedi temple on Coruscant, and that was probably clouding their judgment for sure. For sure. Oh my God. Lauren with a very generous $10 holla. My goodness, says, we need a season 2. I wanted to see a dark side romance / training on screen. That will be cool. But my question to you is, what will season 2 really be about? Like, season 1 story was so good. Like, how is season 2 going to top that or at least live up to it? I get the story of Vernestra and May trying to find Qimir and Osha, but we know that they can't. Or at least if they do, then Qimir and Osha both have to die, and it can't really be revealed that they are Sith. Plagueis can't be really around in the show too much, because that would change things drastically. Now, you could be getting more Plagueis without Jedi being present, but Qimir will have to die as Vernestra's former Padawan, just a rogue Jedi that turned to the dark side. Like, they can't know that the Sith have returned. It's the same issue that we had with season 1, and they got through season 1 without having that problem. Season 2 will be even more difficult. Yeah. Give me that toxic relationship. Yeah, seeing the two of them train will be pretty damn cool, I must say. And I appreciate it, Lauren. That is very, very generous. Very, very generous indeed. Okay. Damn it, just go down to the bottom again. Not a fan of that. By the way, 73% of you now, it's gone down a little bit, but 73% of you still say yes to a second season. I agree. Paul Simon says, Torben starts all the trouble and acts on impulses and his emotions on Brendok 16 years ago. You could argue that Torben causes all of this Brendok stuff, and he's the one to blame. You could say that, but Sol is the one who brings them all there. Sol's the one who feels the connection to Osha and really persists on going back and back and back again. They could have just left these witches alone from the jump. Yeah. It was probably a combination of the two of them. I don't think Kelnaka really did anything wrong. Indara was trying her best. Nathan Elliott, what's up, Nathan, says Palpatine or Maul will kill Vernestra. But that would mean Venestra's going to live for like another 100 years. Not that that's not possible because she's already 100 years old. I just don't see that happening. I could see Vernestra dying if there is a second season. Yeah. Episode 6 was one of your faves. Episode 6 was great. It got a lot of crap, but it was really good. It just didn't have a lot of action sequences in it. The most action we got was Basil going like this. So I think that's what kind of turned people off because we came off of episode 5, which was just straight lightsaber duels the entire time. But yeah. Okay, let's go through. Let's do a little thing here. Just recapping the Acolyte and talking about each individual episode. And then we're going to rank the whole show as a whole. But let's start with each individual episode to start. For that, we'll go to Disney+. So this is Disney+. This is all 8 episodes. Let's start with episode 1. So Lost and Found was episode 1, the premiere. Now, in this episode, we kind of just get May killing Indara, the Jedi finding out about that, the introduction to Osha, and we really don't get much else. Like, that's just sort of the explanation episode, and that's pretty good. Episode 2 was also released with episode 1. It was a 2-episode premiere, and that's when you sort of get into the good stuff. You get May and Qimir and May versus Sol and all that fun stuff. Then you move on to episode 3 where we get the flashbacks to Brendok. What happened all those years ago from Osha's perspective, and a lot of people have their opinions with this episode. Episode 4 is sort of the lead up to episode 5, but it does explain a lot of stuff and bring us all to Kofar and give us the massive cliffhanger ending in the introduction to Darth Zipperface. Episode 5 might be one of the greatest episodes ever, single episode in Star Wars television. It just is. Just some of the best lightsaber fights we've seen, choreography-wise and just action-wise, since the prequel trilogy. And it's just amazing. Like, this episode is my favorite episode. I don't know. The finale was so good. It was really, really good. So I don't know. I'm in between the finale and episode 5, but I'm probably either or on any given day. Episode 6, on the other hand, was more explanation than action, like I just mentioned. But it was that sort of Sith training sequence, which was great. And episode 7 gave us the other flashbacks to Brendok, what really happened from the Jedi's perspective. Why Sol killed Indara. I mean, Sol killed, not Indara. Sol killed Anisea, and how the rest of the witches died. And then episode 8, of course, was the finale that we just talked about at length. So with all that, what is your favorite episode? Tell me in the chat. What is your favorite episode? Is it episode 5? Is it episode 8? Or is it episode 7 or 6 or 4 or 1 or 2 or 3? Honestly, if I was going to go in order, I'd go 8, 5, and it's very close. 8, 5, then 6, then 4, then 7, then 2, then 1, then 3. 3 is probably my least favorite, but it's not that I hate it. But yeah. None, they all sucked. Okay. Okay. 8's your favorite? 5, 6, and 8? Okay. I said just 1, but yeah. 8, okay. It's hard between 8 and 5. Yeah, it is tough. 8. Wow, a lot of finale love in the chat. 5, yeah. The lightsaber sequences in 5 are just so good. And we do get the one good lightsaber sequence between Sol and Qimir in the finale. But it is tough. Yeah, it is tough, for sure. But I mean, when you have that, episode 8 and episode 5, 2 of probably some of the top 10 greatest single episodes of Star Wars television, this show was a massive success in my head. Like, massive. Now, clearly, there's a lot of opposition to that. There's a lot of split in the fandom, but that seems to happen with every Star Wars project at this point. The amount of hate we got on this channel for loving for loving Ahsoka last year as well was absolutely insane. And Ahsoka's probably my favorite series ever. It's crazy. 8, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 8, 5 and 8, okay. Episode 5, 4, 7, and 8 in no particular order, okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's see where this poll's at, by the way. Still 73%, 72% now. Still say they want a second season with almost 200 votes on that. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. Flashbacks were filler? What the hell are you talking about? 7 was my weakest episode? Really? Interesting. I thought 3 was, but 7 I thought gave the most explanation of what actually happened on Red Knock. But I get you. What about a poll for 5 versus 8? We could do that for sure. Why not? Why not? All right, let's do it. Which episode? By the way, I ended that poll, but which episode of The Acolyte was your favorite? We'll put it that way. We'll phrase it like that, and then we'll give 3 options. Episode 8. Whoops, that's 9. Episode 8. Episode 5. And other. Just for any of the other episodes, because I can only put 4 options, so we'll just put 3, and we'll just do other. We'll just do other. 7 just felt too disjointed. I could kind of see that. The reason that it's like that, though, is because it's supposed to be the exact same events of episode 3, so it's kind of disjointed because it's almost inferring that you just should know what's happening because you've already seen episode 3, you know? Yeah. Flashbacks are filler is crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Like, the flashbacks are what explain what happened. They explain the show. That's wild. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? Again, Lauren, thank you for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. Super chats are incredible. Maggie in the chat. Hello there. Can't stay, sadly, but wanted to say hi and congrats on 63 subscribers, Mike. That's awesome. I appreciate that, Maggie. We miss you around here. Where was I? Oh, Lowdown says, I called that Osha was going to go to the dark side. May would go to the Jedi side, kinda. Well, if you did call that, then you were kinda right. May doesn't go to the Jedi side, but yeah, you're not wrong. Osha is kind of seduced by Qimir. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Talk about seduction to the dark side. Like, they actually showed that in this show, which was kind of cool. Indeed. Maria Coast says, Acolyte was great. I want a second season. Me too. Me too. And by the way, episode 5 right now is winning with 52%. Interesting. We'll leave that poll up there for a bit. Osha will be the Dom in the relationship? The Dom? What the hell does that mean? What the hell's that mean? Osha's lightsaber bleeding didn't make any sense. What do you mean? Didn't make any sense. How didn't it make sense? What? Zoe says, loved the pain that we saw in Osha's face when she turned as she killed Sol and immediately after his death. Yeah. It's literally Anakin Skywalker. It's, what have I done? Immediately after he kills Mace Windu, or cuts off his arm, and then he falls down and most likely dies. Mace Windu's alive. No. But it's the exact same thing. It's Anakin Skywalker going, what have I done? And she falls to her knees and just collapses. And then immediately as Qimir comes over, she freaks out, ignites the lightsaber, sees it turn red, and goes, okay, I've fallen. And that's kind of Palpatine going, henceforth you shall be known as Darth Vader. Weirdly, we never got Kymir's name. We went through the whole season, and he's still technically the stranger. We don't know his name yet. That's pretty weird when you think about it. We don't know his Sith name. We don't know his real name. We don't know nothing. Even Vernestra, who, and maybe it is because that he could be this Imri Cantaros from the High Republic. Maybe it is, that's why, because he is an established character already. And if they told us his name, then we would know. That's a possibility. Could be. But it is weird that we just didn't get his name. Joseph says, Episode 8 was rewritten and refilmed over the last 2 weeks. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. 2 weeks to do that? That's impossible. 2 weeks to fully edit that entire video? I mean, that entire 50-minute episode? That's impossible. According to Vernestra, his name is Yu.
Incorrect.
No. Wonderpants, what's up, Wonderpants, says, so either Yoda is corrupt or stupid now. How so? Vernestra telling Yoda that her former Padawan fell to the dark side, doesn't make him corrupt or stupid. I'm sure season 2 will deal with Qimir, and he'll probably die, or at least die somehow. How does that corrupt Yoda in the slightest? If you think for the last 1,000 years, Jedi haven't left the Order and become splinter orders like they described in episode 4, you're crazy. Thomas says, when Jedi are being killed, Yoda knows he probably can't tell in the visions where or who is being killed. Yeah, there's probably like a shift in the Force or like a sort of disturbance in the Force, but it depends on how close of a connection Yoda or anybody else sort of has to that character. Like, again, going back to Tales of the Jedi, when Dooku senses Qui-Gon, it's because he was his former master. If Qui-Gon died and Aayla Secura, I don't know why that was the first one, that's just random Jedi, she probably didn't sense it, you know? Or Yoda would, because Yoda probably trained with Qui-Gon quite a bit. Yeah. Mike, to be honest, I suspected that Osha would be the Acolyte. All right, now I don't believe you. I mean, that's why you got to write down your theories, guys, and make them into YouTube videos so that you can prove when you're wrong, and when you're right, you're right. And I was definitely wrong quite a bit. For sure. Are they both 48% right now? 48% to 48%? And that just makes the other 4% other? That's awesome. Trek says, do you think they could have stuck May in the ship and kind of crammed themselves in and then dropped her off somewhere selfishly? Maybe instead of mind wiping her? Oh, I understand now. That the ship that only fit 2, could they have just crammed May in there? Probably not. Looked pretty crammed in that ship. The best Lex Luthor says, is Yoda just dumped? Or is he yet a part of all the cover-up? No. I think I just explained that, but I don't know if that's what your question was asking. Yeah. Freddie says, you all want to be spoon-fed. Kind of. I feel like that's where people are at right now. Like, just put 2 and 2 together here. It's not that crazy. Vernestra didn't come out and say that her former Padawan was Qimir. but we can put two and two together. The creepy looking guy who puts his hand on the cave and is in the shadows, it's Plagueis, but you kind of have to put two and two together to figure that out. Vernestra coming to tell Yoda that her former Padawan fell to the dark side is not Yoda knowing that the Sith have returned. Let's use our brains here, people. The same people who've been telling us that this show's retconning Star Wars for the last 7 weeks. Let's turn those things in our heads on for the next couple minutes here. Thomas says, I said it after episode 2 that Osha will become an acolyte. After episode 2? All right, fine, I'll give it to you. I'm still happy about seeing Plagueis. Oh my god, I haven't stopped smiling. That's actually really false. Yesterday was the most frustrating day of my YouTube career. As you guys all know, or if you don't know, I'll explain. I uploaded a breakdown at 6 in the morning, and then I went to bed for about 2 hours. Woke up at 8 in the morning to find out that only half the breakdown posted. I don't know how that even happened. Like, I can't explain it to you guys in short terms, but uploading half a video is almost impossible. It makes no sense at all. But it did nonetheless. And that breakdown video got the most amount of views in the first 2 hours that any video has ever had on this channel. And I had to delete it. And I deleted it, and then I had to wait 5 hours and finally figured it out, finally did it, finally posted it, and I was way later than I ever have been for a breakdown video. It was insane. So, yeah, that was my day yesterday. Extremely frustrating. Extremely frustrating. But we got the breakdown out nonetheless. It took a while, but we did it. We did it. What a day. But yes, Plagueis was amazing. Haven't stopped smiling since then. That was quite a frustrating day yesterday, I must say. But yes, Plagueis was awesome. Awesome blossom. Indeed. Zoe says, seems like some people want to be spoon-fed. Personally, I love a mystery and getting to speculate and theorize. Yeah, I agree with that. Speculation is the best about the series. Oh, speculation is the best about most series. Let's be honest. The Bad Batch, Ahsoka, The Mandalorian. Speculation is the fun part. That's why a week-to-week release is so much better than a all-at-once release. At least I think. I know a lot of you would disagree with me, but I think that. Yeah. Clouded Master says, I get Yoda sensing the deaths on Brendok that happened all at once, but I don't see how that's a plot hole. I think there's already a team that are investigating it, and what is Yoda going to do? I don't think it's a plot hole either way. Like, Vernestra's telling Yoda what's happening here. You know? Qimir was pretty telegraphed to be the stranger. Wait, telegraphed to be the stranger? I don't know what you mean by that. The speculation was definitely half the fun. Oh, 100%. Darth Conan says, I like the fact that it's also gotten darker and not mainly about the Jedi and the Sith planning their return. Yeah, we've gone. This show is called The Acolyte, and we spent a lot of time with Qimir and May and Osha and the darker side of things. Yes, we spent a lot of time with the Jedi too, but it was both sides of the story, which we don't usually get. In Star Wars, it's usually just the good guy's perspective. Think of the whole original trilogy. It's all about the heroes and their story. Yes, you see Darth Vader and Palpatine every once in a while, but you're not getting their side of the story. In this show, you're getting both sides of the story, which is cool. Indeed. The Best Lex Luthor says, why did Yoda sense Anakin killing sand people, but not 10 plus Jedi dying or getting killed? Well, we don't know if he sensed it or not. Yeah, we just don't. And honestly, I think Yoda's probably more connected to Anakin than those other sort of red shirts that were dead on Kofar. But I do think Yoda probably sensed it. I think she's probably been in contact with Vernestra the entire time. Indeed. The Jedi have been shady since 77. I don't know about 77, because they weren't really around then. But maybe since 1999. Since Jedi have been shady since 99. There you go. There you go. Look at all those good cups full of orders. Fantastic. Thomas says, Yoda isn't going to do anything. Vernestra wants to inform Yoda because he's the Grand Master. Yeah, I don't think Yoda's going to like join the fight or anything, but he'll know. You know? Harrison says, Qimir's identity was a rare red herring. It was revealed, the reveal of Plagueis being the Phantom Menace was the true identity of the twins being the real mystery. There's a lot of different mysteries in this show, I'll give you that. And Plagueis being the Phantom Menace is not the case either. Palpatine would be the Phantom Menace because Plagueis isn't even in the movie. Yeah. And think about that. The Phantom Menace isn't a mystery either. Palpatine is... We know who Palpatine is. Yeah. Dr. Balls. That is a great name. Okay. I was just looking at his profile picture and...
I got a bad feeling about this.
Says, Dr. Balls says, Acolyte is high art. I don't know what that means, but okay. Yeah. Most definitely a season 2, but I want Ahsoka season 2 too. Well, Ahsoka season 2 is already in the works. Ahsoka season 2 will most likely come out towards the end of next year or maybe the following year after that, but hopefully they streamline it and get it out as soon as possible. But yeah, Ahsoka season 2 is on the way. I wonder if or when they will confirm a second season for this Acolyte show. If they were to do it, I would say they'd do it at San Diego Comic-Con, which is next week, by the way. Or they'd probably do it at D23, which is in early August, I think, this year. So there's a few things coming up over the next couple weeks that are going to be big, huge for announcements. Like D23, I believe, is next week. Somebody fact check me on that. When is San Diego Comic-Con? Is that this weekend? Next weekend? Somebody help me out on that. But also D23 is in August, I believe, and we'll be getting a ton of announcements. A ton of announcements for new projects, hopefully, maybe an animated show, maybe some Skeleton Crew stuff, maybe a trailer for Skeleton Crew. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Star Wars Kata says, how Yoda didn't understand the Jedi are dying. Bro, you just need to watch 2 seconds of Star Wars Theories videos to understand. What? To understand what? The Jedi not... How Yoda didn't understand that the Jedi were dying? I don't understand. July 25th to 28th. Okay, so San Diego Comic-Con's next weekend? The 25th to 28th is next weekend. Does anybody know when the Star Wars panel is? Does anyone know where the Star Wars panel is at D23? Is it on... The 25th is a Thursday. Are you sure? So is it Thursday to Sunday? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Interesting. Interesting. There is still hope for a Darkseid Rey Palpatine? I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. Jedi Master Y. That's fucking hilarious. Come on. It'd be nice. Come on. It'd be nice to see Rey turn in the next movie. Yeah, that would be pretty nice. Not gonna lie. Yeah. The story of season 1 was really bad. The side characters were better than the main characters. Who do you mean by side characters? Like Vernestra Row? I completely disagree. I think Osha, Sol, and Qimir are my three favorite characters, and they are the 3 main characters alongside of May. There's no Star Wars? No, I'm pretty sure Lucasfilm has a panel this year. Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they do. Huh. Interesting. Maybe they don't. Justice for Kilnaka? Yeah, let's do that. Clouded Master says, even if Yoda doesn't sense the deaths on Brendok, Vernestra's team was there within hours. Exactly what we are expecting him to do. Stop her investigation or what do we expect her to do? Stop the investigation and tell her to investigate? I love when people are just logical in the chat. It's so satisfying. Yoda. Okay. Where was I? Here's the thing. Somebody just said real Star Wars fans would not like another season. What? You're going to tell me that your opinion makes you a real Star Wars fan, but mine doesn't? That's absurd. That's absurd and wrong. Gaming Fire says, so is May and Osha a Force dyad? No. No, they are not. They are not a Force dyad. They're a split consciousness, actually, created by the Force itself, created by the witches. Yeah. Indeed. The Forest Dragon says, I believe that Qimir and Osha are more like Darkseid than Sith, and Qimir and Osha will be looking for the real Sith, and maybe we will see young Palpatine. No. Definitely not. I don't think they're Darkseid Jedi. They're definitely Sith, because we see Plagueis in the cave. Like, Plagueis is the master to Qimir, as we see him in the cave. Yeah. Yeah, now? Did that get through? Oh, it didn't get through. Well, Diego Santos, I appreciate that quite a bit. Diego says, a guy who loves Star Wars, it's a shit show. It's shit, a trash show. Only brain dead people like this. I guess so. Yeah. I guess so. Dude, if you like Star Wars, then you're a Star Wars fan. I agree with that. Yeah. But it seems nowadays if you like Star Wars, then you're not a Star Wars fan. Isn't that crazy? If you liked Ahsoka last year, you're not a Star Wars fan. If you liked The Acolyte this year, you're not a Star Wars fan. If you liked Kenobi 2 years ago, you're not a Star Wars fan. If you liked the Book of Boba Fett the year before, you're not a Star Wars fan. Isn't that wild? It's crazy. It's pretty wild, if I do say so myself. Oh my God, Lauren again with $10. What the hell? Says season 2 could be a dark side training, the romance and interactions with actual Sith, and eventually Qimir and Osha going off on their own. I would love to see that, like dark side training stuff. I'd also love to see Qimir kind of like, telling Osha that we got to overthrow Darth Plagueis, and then see both of them fail miserably. Like, that would be so cool. Seeing Plagueis in action would be so cool. But we do know that Plagueis will survive that. So that would mean Qimir and Osha would not. If Season 2 comes to an end, like the finale of Season 2 is Qimir and Osha and maybe even May, because maybe May's found them by then, or whatever it may be. If Osha and Qimir are plotting their sort of taking over of Plagueis, and then they fail miserably, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Starchip66 says, Mike, you got the breakdown out. It was really good, and I appreciate all your work and time. Well, Starchip, I appreciate that. But it was extremely frustrating. Yeah, it was wild. But I appreciate it. I really, really do. Wonderpants says, seems people want Star Wars no matter how dumb. Enjoy your gruel. So many better franchises and shows right now. I could not disagree with you more. Better shows than The Acolyte? Sure. I think Star Wars is better shows than The Acolyte. But The Acolyte's still good. But better franchises right now? Absolutely not. There is no better franchise than Star Wars. And again, that's just my opinion. That's just absolutely my opinion. Yeah. Indeed. Zoe says, oh, I already read that. If the Jedi are going to be under investigation during Season 2, with Vernestra trying to find Qimir under the radar, the darkness may begin to spread from the shadows in the second season. That's actually an interesting concept, too. I didn't really think about that for Season 2, is the Jedi being investigated. That's kind of how Season 1 ended. So season 2 might dive into that more. The Senate having their eyes on the Jedi Order quite a bit more, which would be pretty cool. Indeed. Cloudmaster says the best Star Wars movie is an 8 relative to the cinema. The best Star Wars movie is an 8 relative to the cinema. Let's be real. Let's be real about what Star Wars is first. What? The best Star Wars movie is an 8 relative to other cinema. Oh, I get you. It's an 8 out of 10 to other movies. I understand. I disagree, but that's because I'm a massive Star Wars fan. I think Revenge of the Sith is the greatest movie to ever exist, even against other cinema. But that is my extremely unbiased opinion. It's my extremely biased opinion, as I'm a massive Star Wars fan. But I would agree with you that as cinema, as like a critic would see cinema, Star Wars would not be the best of the best. It just wouldn't. It's not what the sort of organic, like, cinema is supposed to be. But that's not what it is. It's sci-fi. It's fantasy. It's not like your serious cinema movie type deal. But that's what we love about it, you know? Harrison says the two most brutal kills, and I'm like in all the show are Jecki and Yord, especially Yord. Yeah, I mean they stabbed Jecki in the chest 3 times. They snapped Yord's neck. Okay, let's get him out of here. Brandon, get him out. Diego Santos, kick him. Bye-bye. What was I just talking about? Damn it, he distracted me. Poop. Oh, yes, the most brutal deaths of the season. Jecki was stabbed in the chest 3 times. Yord's neck was snapped, but even Soul gets forced or choked to death. Thanks, Brandon, I appreciate it. Force choked to death in this finale. It was absolutely wild. Wild. Insane. So yeah, this show was pretty damn dark, to say the least. Aiden, what's up?
Hello there.
People were talking about maybe getting a rated R Star Wars film or maybe show. This came as close as you can get without kind of getting there. Snapping people's necks on screen is extremely dark. Yeah. Dead Mike says, I'd rather see Ahsoka Season 2. Honestly, me too. I would way rather see Ahsoka Season 2 than the Acolyte Season 2, but why not both? You know? Why not both? Joseph says, unfortunately, the facts are true, and The Acolyte is the second lowest of all the Disney Plus Star Wars shows, Andor being the lowest. The Acolyte is the second lowest. Those are the facts. Those are the facts from a certain company. I would assume that this is true. Like, that's just from the Nelson numbers and the Nielsen numbers, Nielsen, which is absolutely true. And it makes sense. Think about all the Star Wars shows. The Mandalorian is a massive hit, so that's going to be probably number 1, I would assume, and I believe it was on the list. But then you have, like, Kenobi was number 2, but that's because Kenobi and Anakin are 2 of the main characters of the entire Star Wars franchise. It's not that Kenobi was the second best on that list. Then Ahsoka was right below that, the Book of Boba Fett below that, Acolyte below that, and Andor below that. And honestly, if I was making a list of the best Star Wars shows, it would be very similar to that. It would be. That list would be pretty damn close to mine, with the sort of difference being Kenobi being so high and Ahsoka being a lot higher. Yeah. But that list doesn't really mean much, because Andor's at the bottom of that list. And I'm sure many of you would agree with me when I say Andor's definitely not the worst Star Wars show that's been made. You know? Yeah, I know? Did they kill Soul too early, though? That's actually a great question. Did they kill Soul too early? If they're going to make a second season, maybe a third even, should Soul have been involved with those next 2 seasons? I actually think no. I think it wasn't too early to kill Soul, because Soul's death is the catalyst to throw Osha down that dark path, to become an Acolyte of the Sith, which is where she has to be. So Soul serves his purpose in the story, where I guess he kind of started this whole damn thing, but he also turns Osha to the dark side. Soul had to die. That's true. He did have to die, but could they have waited? Could they have waited for season 2? How does he survive the first season? I mean, the only way he would survive is if the second season was, or the first season was dragged on to be into the second season, you know? You got to stop swearing in the chat or you're going to have to go too. Q Hefner says, the choreography was great and we needed more duels. Yeah, so the choreography was incredible. Like, absolutely incredible. The top tier of top tiers. The only thing that even comes, or the only thing that's better than it is the prequel trilogy. So the moral of the story of the Acolyte show is we need, what was his name? Christopher something something? He's got 3 names. Christopher, whatever his name is. He did the choreography for Rogue One, which is the hallway scene of Vader, which is incredible. And he did all the choreography in this show. That guy needs to be in charge of all of it. All the choreography in Star Wars, he needs to be that guy. He needs to be in charge of everything. Every show moving forward, he has to be working on, because every lightsaber duel needs to be at the same level as the incredible ones in this show. That's awesome. Because I'm sure that's going to happen now. Because that guy just proved his point. And his point is, I'm this guy. I'm the guy. I'm the guy. David with a very generous $5 holla says, Star Wars is called a space opera. I don't know if anyone here is a fan of opera, but Acolyte's plot lines are near identical to The Magic Flute by Mozart. Intentional? Okay, David. What? I don't know opera to save my life. The Magic Flute sounds like a drink. And it's by Mozart, so it sounds like a musical number. So I don't know what you're talking about. But I really have no reason to disagree with you. I don't know. So maybe I have no, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I gotta go find out what the magical flute is now. Thanks, David. Clouded Master says, the two best shows have the 2 lowest ratings. Seems fitting in a fan base that bullied George Lucas into selling it and now holds him as the Messiah and begs for him to come back every day. Holy shit. I disagree with the first part of this sentence, but that is so spot on. It's insane. The first part, you said that the 2 best shows have the 2 lowest views. That's implying that the 2 best shows are The Acolyte and Andor, which I disagree with a lot. But the rest of it is pretty spot on. It seems fitting for a fan base that bullied George Lucas into selling the company, and now they hold him as the Messiah and beg for him to come back every day. George Lucas sold the company for multiple reasons. But the Clone Wars, which was the only Star Wars project being created at the time, was getting absolutely shit on. When the Clone Wars was first released, it was not loved by almost anybody. They told George he was messing up the whole story. They told him that this was a horrible idea. Animated Star Wars is just not the way to go. And that was probably a reason as to why he sold the company. Now, it wasn't the reason. He was losing money making this show. He wanted Star Wars to continue, but he didn't want to make another trilogy because he would be into his 80s when he was doing that. So there was a lot of reasons as to why he sold it, but you're absolutely right. The Clone Wars hate was a big reason to that. And the hate in the Star Wars fandom and the prequel trilogy as well was a reason to that as well. And now those same people are just begging for him to come back. It's like they shot themselves in the foot. Yeah. Indeed. Plagueis made episode 8 the best for me. Yeah, Plagueis, I mean, the episode was so good, and Plagueis was kind of just the cherry on top, you know? Indeed. UV Clip says, I called that Vernestra was going to frame Soul. I also said that she would kill Qimir and Soul and then frame frame it on him. So that was wrong, but I still got it right, and I'm surprised, not going to lie. Yeah, there was a few of us that were predicting that in the chat. I remember UV Clips being one of them, that Vernestra was going to frame Soul. Qimir survived the season, which is good, because that will lead into a second season, but yeah, that's pretty wild. Pretty wild. Lowdown says, I'm torn. Episode 5 has the best lightsaber duels, but Episode 8 gave us Darth Plagueis. Episode 5 just had a lot of lightsaber duels. I would say that the Soul versus Qimir in this finale was better than any individual one in that 5th episode. Trek says, I think it should have been read instantly as soon as she bled it. I didn't like how it slowly changed. I liked how it slowly changed because visually it was awesome. But it was also kind of like a gradual change. She wasn't meditating, forcing this kyber to turn red. She was only just unknowingly doing it because of her rage and her anger as she force chokes her former master and falls to the dark side. So I think it was like more of a slow approach to it. Yeah. Osha bleeding the lightsaber was beyond amazing, that's for sure. Raheem's World what's up says, if you don't like the Acolyte, then you just can't open up your heart. No. Again, I go both ways here. If you don't like the show and you're crapping on people who like it, screw you. But Raheem, people can have open hearts that don't like the Acolyte show, you know? Yeah, I know. My thing is, if you don't like the Acolyte show, first of all, just don't watch it. And second of all, what makes you click on a channel that says a guy who loves Star Wars and just shit on people in the chat? Like, is there really nothing better that you could do? You know? Clouded Master says, I think episode 3 actually makes a better intro for the show, and episode 7 coming after it. Interesting. Episode 3 is a better intro, but so many people hated episode 3. Ian says, I love that you don't know what Dom means. You're sweet and an innocent child. Do you mean like the dawn of a gang? Or like of a what's the word I'm looking for here? What the hell's the word I'm looking for here? The Sopranos? Not a gang. It's I don't know. I can't think of it. It's killing me. Okay, I feel cheated. I will feel cheated if we never tell Qimir's full story in some way or another. That's absolutely true. Qimir's character is too good to not get a second season to keep it going. Mafia, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Oh my God, I thought my head was going to explode. I could not think of the word mafia. Holy crap. Okay. Sorry. Yes, I would feel absolutely cheated as well if we didn't get Qimir's story finished, or at least explained what's going on with him and finished, because I want to see him die to Plagueis or die to whoever he dies to at some point. Yeah, absolutely. According to, I already read that. Remember, I called it a few weeks ago, and I asked Osha will turn to the dark side. I do remember that lowdown, but I'm saying like before the show even started, nobody was really saying that, you know? Yeah, no? I don't know about the best, but episode 4 was the most underrated. I would say episode 4, episode 6 was the most underrated. I think episode 6 was very underrated too. Indeed. Oh no, just going to the bottom. Are you kidding me? Oh, Martha J with a very generous $5 holla says, I think there should be no second season, which leaves people to come to their own conclusions, in my opinion. I get what you're saying. Like, you don't want to answer every question. It's the sort of the, how was Anakin created? What's Yoda's species type deal? What's the world between worlds? How do the Mortis gods exist? Like, all that stuff, the Mortis arc and the Clone Wars. You don't want everything explained. But when it comes to this Acolyte show, it's left open for more storytelling. Oh, not Don, but Dom? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll get to that in a second. It left the door open for more storytelling for a second season. There's more story to be told here, not with just Qimir, but with the twins, with Vernestra, with the Jedi Order now being investigated by the Senate. I think we want to live in this era more. So although we can come to our own conclusions, if they don't continue the story, I'd rather they do. And then after season 2 or season 3, then we can leave it up to our imaginations. Yeah. Yeah. Send Mike more super chats so he can get his eyes examined or get bigger glasses. Hey, Kay, you know what? I can read and I can see perfectly fine when you guys speak English, okay? When you got all these typos going up in here, I can't read them. Okay? So I blame you. I blame you, chat. I blame you. No, I just suck at reading. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. UV Clip says, Star Wars fans expect too damn much. That's why people disliked Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, etc. This show is an expectation. Is an expectation? Oh, exception. Sorry. I told you I can't read English. Exception. Because a lot of diehard fans who like those other shows have had bad reviews, hated this. Let me go back to the first part of that. Star Wars fans expect too damn much. I disagree. I think Star Wars fans getting their expectations so high is on purpose. And it is what we should do. We should have such high expectations for Star Wars because it's so good, and it should be that good. It should be the top tier that we deserve, like Ahsoka, in my personal opinion. I don't think The Acolyte was that. Did I still like the show? Yes. Did I still think it was a good show? Yes. Great? Probably not. Do I think it was top tier Star Wars? There were instances of it. Episode 5, I would say yes. Episode 8, I would say yes. But episode 1, 2, 3, You know? So let's go to the title of this stream. The title of the stream is The Acolyte good or bad? It's definitely not bad, in my personal opinion. Again, that's just my opinion. So is The Acolyte good or bad? It's good. It's absolutely good. Does it deserve a second season? Most definitely, yes. Now the question becomes, will it get a second season? And that's a completely different story. But I'm actually going to put up a poll in the chat just to see how crazy we're feeling today. And that is The Acolyte good or bad? And it's not going to be an in-between. So is it going to be good or is it going to be bad? Let's see where you guys are at. The entire show, not just one episode, not just the finale, the entire show. Is The Acolyte, or well, let's put it this way. Which is The Acolyte, then we'll just go ... Good or bad? Let's see where that poll goes. Let's see where that poll goes. The audience scores are horrible and the viewership is low. Well, the viewership is not lower than Andor. And many Star Wars fans come in these chats and in all chats and say that Andor is their favorite show. And I've actually heard a few people, a lot less than Andor, but a few people say that Acolyte's their favorite show too. And I disagree with them completely. But that still doesn't change the fact that they didn't get as many views. And going back to your horrible audience score, that was a bombardment that was an embarrassment in the Star Wars community. Yeah. Before the show even airs, really? Like it can't be taken seriously now. If you at least waited for the premiere, then maybe we could take it a little bit seriouser. But seriouser, is that a word? No. More serious. Maybe we could take you guys a little bit more serious, but you did it before the show even aired. You haven't even seen it yet. So you just look stupid. Yeah. And by the way, this poll, 51% of you liked episode 8 more. Only 38 said episode 5 and 9% said other. So episode 8 takes the cake. The finale was, in your guys' opinion, the best episode so far. Or the best episode of the series. Indeed. Dova says, Andor is my personal favorite show as I adore the more grounded side of Star Wars, but I'm also a sucker for good Star Wars with light side and dark side lightsaber duels. Well, Dova, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And that's the perfect example of the difference between all different types of Star Wars fans. There's some fans that really love the grounded stuff of Andor. And then there's some fans who hate that or dislike it a little bit, and then really, really love the lightsaber stuff, the Force stuff, the really, really cool stuff. And that's where I think shows like Rebels and the Clone Wars really hit both sides of that coin, I guess, if it's a two-sided coin. It hits both sides because you have arcs in the Clone Wars that are very grounded. They're clone missions or they're droid missions or they're whatever. They're just storytelling. They're the inhibitor chips and 5 finds out about it. Then you have stories like the Mortis arc, which couldn't be more bonkers and crazy and all over the place. Then you look at Rebels. You have grounded stuff where the Rebels crew is going on missions for money or missions for whatever, and you're just getting stories and developing these characters, so to speak. And that's what Andor does. But then you have stuff like the World Between Worlds, where it's like, what the fuck's going on here? What's going on here? You know? So I think there's room for both, especially in the galaxy of Star Wars. And Andor and Acolyte almost are the exact opposite. Andor is that grounded sort of no lightsabers, no Force, and the Acolyte's the exact opposite. You're creating beings with the Force. There's Force vergences. There's lightsaber duels all over the place. It's almost the yin and the yang right now. Andor, Acolyte, the two divisive shows, the most divisive shows of the Star Wars universe. Shout out to our boy Fives, R.I.P. Yeah, Fives is the GOAT. Oh my God. Sonny with a very generous $5 holla says, hey Mike, the Acolyte is good in all caps. I enjoyed watching the story unfold. I was for Soul, but by episode 8, I was like, damn, man really screwed up. Yeah, he did. And that's what's kind of cool. Like, you love Soul for the first half of the or more than half of the show. You love Soul. He's a great character. You're like, he's the good guy. He's doing the right thing. And then you're like, maybe he didn't do the right thing. Maybe he didn't do the right thing. And then he dies. Yeah. Jedi Hangout says, the Magic Flute is one of Mozart's best operas. Well, I've never seen it. And when they run out of their own ideas, they just start stealing lines straight from the original trilogy. How do you mean? Derek says, Osha was the first to bleed a kyber crystal by unknowingly willing it to happen. She is easily more powerful than Darth Vader. She's easily more powerful than Darth Vader. I don't think so. Maybe because Vader's in the suit and severely disabled because his arms and limbs were chopped off, and he's put in this suit that Palpatine put him in on purpose that limits his strength. That's maybe would make him weaker than Osha, but I think Anakin Skywalker, like Revenge of the Sith Anakin, is more powerful than Osha. However, her bleeding the kyber crystal unknowingly just because of her hatred and anger, even though the kyber crystal was just touching her hand, that is badass, I must say. Harrison says, watching old kung fu movies is often a cheat code to Star Wars. A lot of characters are heavily inspired by that media. That's true. Kung fu movies, samurai movies, old Western movies, a lot of characters from those films and shows, or yeah, I guess like spaghetti Western shows and movies. A lot of those characters are sort of the groundwork for a lot of characters in the original trilogy or shows now. Like even shows now like a Master's Soul is really, really pulled from those old samurai movies. Like you could see in the finale, especially some ways that he was holding his lightsaber, wielding his lightsaber was very samurai-esque. And that's cool. That's the pull from the original Star Wars. That's what George Lucas took from those old movies, the Kurosawa films that he brought into the Star Wars stuff. It's great. It's great. This is actually a great question. Mike, do you think that the Plagueis knows, or sorry, do you think, well, what do you think about Plagueis being in the Acolyte? I thought that was going to be something else. I thought that was going to be Plagueis knowing about Osha being an Acolyte. I'll answer both. But what do I think about Plagueis being in the Acolyte? It was fan-freaking-tastic. It was so damn cool. And he looked great. That was my biggest concern, that he was going to look stupid. I'm still feeling the hurt from, I guess, Kenobi with the Grand Inquisitor in live action. But this looks fantastic. I mean, come on. I could look at this all day. Like Captain America, he could do this all day. I could look at this all day. But to the question you didn't ask that I asked myself, I guess, what do I think about him knowing that Osha is going to be the Acolyte? That's a little weird. It's a little weird, but correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't Palpatine know that Ventress is the apprentice to Dooku in the Clone Wars? Doesn't he know about Ventress? So maybe it's not something really that new. Yeah. 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 Forrest Hook says, does this mean that Darth Plagueis' story takes place earlier than it should, Mike? No. I think Plagueis' novel's just going to remain legends. I think they're going to retell his story in canon in a little bit different ways, but also kind of keeping a similar sort of trajectory for his story. He's still going to be the master of Palpatine. He's still going to do all that stuff. But yeah, his birthday's going to be different. He's probably not going to be doing certain things that he was doing in those legend stories. Yeah. It'll be different, but it'll be the same character. And hopefully it'll be really good. Hopefully. Lauren says, George Lucas said he was done with Star Wars after all the prequel hate. Yeah. I mean, think about it. The guy made the prequel trilogy, which is a masterpiece, and he got absolutely shit on for like a decade more. So I'm sure that would probably get to him after a while. Yeah. Yeah. Aiden says, hey, Mike, you might find this interesting. There are reports coming out now that they were saying that Qimir was initially supposed to be Darth Tenebris, but they changed it at the last minute. I don't know if that would have worked. See, creating a Bith Sith is going to be extremely difficult. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do it in live action. Like, well, I should say. Yeah. But I appreciate it. How did he get on that tiny little remote island without Qimir and Osha noticing? And where did he park his ship? Well, maybe he's been there that whole time. You know? And Qimir probably knows he's there, if he is indeed Chimir's master. Yeah. Palpatine knows about Ventress. Yeah, that's what I thought. Palpatine does know about Ventress, so that wouldn't be too crazy. Yeah. That wouldn't be too crazy. Cloudmaster says, I really like that this show is getting people to kind of discuss what Star Wars really is. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I think this show, although it's getting a lot of hate, did allow a lot of Star Wars fans to kind of come out of the woodwork and voice their opinions and love for Star Wars, you know, in a weird way. Indeed. Dick Kurtz, what's up, Dick, says, overall, I give it a good. It did have some major pacing problems. I've heard that a lot, too. I see some pacing issues. It's a little bit slow at times, a little bit quick at times. I see that, but, like, major pacing problems? I don't know. I'm going to have to, again, rewatch it kind of a lot. Fury and Rage says, how much did you get paid to shill the Acolyte? Let me see. I'll carry the 6. About $495,622 death sticks. No, nothing. It's called actually liking the show. All right, with that, Infamous Quan says, do you think Osha's eyes should have changed color when she killed Sol? The same way that they changed when her helmet came off? No, I actually don't think so. And here's why. She is obviously falling to the dark side, but I think she's got a long way to go. Even Qimir's eyes aren't red, which is a little bit strange. I honestly wouldn't. I would have preferred his eyes are, for sure. But I don't think her eyes should turn red yet. Now, maybe at some point they will, but not yet. No. Yeah. Okay, let me end this poll. I do have to get on out of here shortly here. I got places to be tonight, actually. Is the Acolyte good? 80% of you said yes, or 80% of you said good, to 19% saying bad. Math is not mathing. But I don't think her eyes actually changed color at the beginning. I think she was looking at the reflection of the red blade. I actually think so too. And I was going to put that in the breakdown video, but I didn't want to be wrong in that breakdown video. So it did look like she was maybe looking at a red lightsaber in her eyeballs instead of them being Sith red. Yeah. Indeed. Kylo Ren's eyes never turned red. That's true too. That's true too, Amanda. Absolutely true. Okay, I do have to get on out of here. I appreciate all of you guys. Watch out for a video tomorrow about a possible second season of this show, why I think there should be, why I think there shouldn't be, all that fun stuff. And watch out for, of course, a live stream on Saturday. The Saturday stream is going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, at noon on Saturday, Eastern Standard Time, instead of the 2. So watch out for that time change. It's going to be 2 hours earlier. So watch out for that. Of course, if you're not in the Discord, go join that Discord in the description below. And you'll be updated whenever we go live and post videos and stuff like that. So go join that Discord. A lot of fun people in there talking Star Wars all day long. Mike's got a date now. I gotta go though. Yeah. So watch out for that. And then of course, huge shout out to all you guys who became members today. And of course, the super chats were I appreciate greatly, from Sunny, Martha, David. Oh, I missed one. Sorry. Agnes says hello there. Haters gonna hate. They can leave. Appreciate that. Lauren, again, I appreciate it. And DeRay, again, I don't know if that's correct. I appreciate all of it. And then Thomas and Trek for the new members. You guys are awesome. Okay. With that being said, smash a freaking like on the stream. Hit that subscribe. Hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video in my pretty face. I'll show them the recommended feed of yours. If you don't hit that like button right now, I swear, I will do nothing because I can't do anything. But please hit that like button. And yeah, may the Force be with you. Always. Oh yeah, what a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate every last one of you more than you will ever know. Way more than you'll ever know. Thank you guys for 63,000 subscribers. Absolutely incredible. We just keep going. We just keep on going. You know? We just keep on growing. So we're almost at 66,000, and I can't wait for that because Order 66. But then when we get to 100,000, I'll be dumping that whole entire cup of water on my head. Can't wait for that too. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Great rest of your lives. And good night, everybody.